Do layoffs happen out in the oil field or out in the oil and gas industry? And the answer to that is absolutely 100%. People think that when they pay less at the fuel pump, that means it's good, but that doesn't always mean that, right?
You are smart with the oil field jobs that you pick. You will never get laid off. So many people just assume that we all get laid off like every single year because that's all you hear about when it comes to the oil field.
Basically, for every oil and gas job created in the United States, there's 3.7 other jobs created in support of that job. That's the job multiplier. So when we say we've lost 30,000 oil and gas jobs in the United States, we've actually lost significantly more jobs because of the oil and gas jobs lost. Probably the two biggest industries that support the oil and gas industry is manufacturing and steel. Just so happens we've lost, 65,000 manufacturing jobs this year? In total, the job losses between the oil and gas and the things that are supportive of the oil and gas industry, we would have lost about 150,000 jobs this year because of what's happening in the oil and gas industry. People don't realize that because they just look at the job losses in the oil and gas industry itself. But there's another multiplier there, and that's the job multipliers for the steel industry jobs and the manufacturing jobs. They have high multipliers too. So the loss of those jobs will equate to loss of other jobs further down the line. Basically, this has a ripple effect across the entire economy.
Right, so in 2025, we saw mass layoffs in the oil and gas industry, and it seems like it's continuing to 2026. We have one of the workers saying, laid off from the oil field at the beginning of the new year. Just got laid off from the oil field. If you're still working, don't get too comfortable with the paychecks. This industry flips fast. Say what you can, don't overdo the debt, and have plan B outside the patch. I'm keeping my head up, but it's a lesson I wish I'd taken more seriously sooner. It personally stings more because I took a job to move my family to a new state and start fresh. That was only 4 months ago. I'm an engineer in oil and gas. The market has been brutal. I have 15 plus years experience and top employer history. I have been unemployed and searching for 6 months. I'm in the same boat, coming up to 4 months laid off and on my third layoff in the industry after nearly 14 years. There are few jobs out there, but not many. Good luck, black gold workers.
Do layoffs happen out in the oil field or out in the oil and gas industry? And the answer to that is absolutely 100%. There's a saying out in the oil field goes like, when the oil field is good, it's amazing. When the oil field is bad, you better have saved that money. You better have taken care of your job. If not, you are going to very much suffer. There's people think that when they pay less at the fuel pump, that means it's good. But that doesn't always mean that, right? For people who work out in the oil field, understand that when the crude oil is over $70 a barrel, that means resource companies are drilling, they're producing, and when the cost of crude oil drops under $60, usually lower 50s or even under 50, they stop drilling. A lot of people lose their jobs, and that's when layoffs happened. With that being said, if you're working out in the oil field, understand that the layoffs do happen, especially if you're new to the industry. Take care of your money. Don't spend your money crazy thinking that it's always going to be that way, because it does very much slow down, especially if you're used to making a lot of overtime. Don't depend on the overtime. A lot of companies will keep you, but they will probably put you at regular 40 hours a week. With that being said, take care of your money, take care of your job, become an asset to your company, and just make a lot of connections so you always have a job.
The oil and gas industry has laid off tens of thousands of people, even the ones raking in big returns like ExxonMobil and Chevron. Oil industry jobs have one of the biggest job multipliers in any industry. Lost jobs in oil and gas directly affect manufacturing and service, and then the industries those rely on, like steel. But hey, gas is cheaper, so we are safe. I've been in the oil industry for 13 years and the industry has its ups and downs. I was laid off due to budget cuts and I work in accounting, not the accounting department taking a hit. I was at my previous job for 8 years, so I was getting paid a good salary. I work in oil and gas and got let go in September. It was rough. Luckily, I had a buddy who I randomly hit up and was able to get me a position at the company he works at. I was laid off for 4 months and the money is good, but those 4 months I realized I had literally zero transferable skills outside of the industry. This time I'm definitely gonna use my off weeks to get back up skill.
You are smart with the oil field jobs that you pick. You will never get laid off. So many people just assume that we all get laid off like every single year because that's all you hear about when it comes to the oil field. There are 3 things you need to look at to never get laid off. That is production, midstream, and maintenance. Production, you're making the production companies money. Midstream, you're providing a service to the production companies. Downstream, also gas plants, refineries, so on. But also maintenance. anything where you're working on those things, of the safe jobs equipment, natural gas compressors, pump jacks, tank batteries, valves, you're doing all of that kind of work, or you're doing like chemicals or I&E or measurement, safe jobs, you're never going anywhere. Mechanic jobs, they're great. Jobs that you have to be concerned about and that get hit with the layoffs the most is always new projects, right? Fracking, drilling, flowback, new construction, and overlapping management positions. When they go to fire people, those 5 HR ladies are fixing to become 2 or 3. 4 safety guys you got, you're going to have to make it with 2. And then they're going to cut some of the stuff out in the field, like the rigs and all that. They're going to start stacking them. But while all this shit's happening, hey, I'm out here pushing gas, brother. I can get 24-hour days if I wanted to. My company would sign my fucking check. That is why I preach finding the smart jobs. Gas plant work, pipeline technician, lease operator, compressor mechanic. All of these jobs are gold. Yeah, you may make a little bit more money as a floor hand starting out over a roustabout, but over that roustabout's career, if he's smart, oh no, he'll make more money than you for an easier job, and he will never get laid off. That's the goal. It's picking the smart jobs, and there's plenty of them. But yeah, if you never want to be concerned with layoffs and you want a pretty easy gig that pays well, get into production, the maintenance of that stuff, or midstream or downstream. Just don't go to the rigs, don't go to flowback, fracking, workover, all that shit, completions. Those are all new projects. Yes, you can make a ton of money. Some companies are consistent enough that you can make a career out of it, but I really recommend going into the other divisions.
We have somebody on Reddit asking for advice. Any old timer or vet want to talk to a newer guy about how these times will go when it comes to rig count and oil dropping. What goes first, the drilling rigs or the other side like frac, wireline, coil, pump down, etc., or are they intertwined? The best advice I can give is to take a buyout when it's offered. The deal only ever gets worse. If the management tells you not to worry about your job, start worrying about your job. I don't think I've ever heard management tell us not to worry about our jobs during layoff season. It's always keep your heads down, control what we can control. In my career, I've heard this several times. Every time I hear this from a manager, layoffs are guaranteed around the corner. Drilling always gets cut first, but lowering oil prices aren't the end all be all. It's way more complicated than that these days.
The difference between working for a big corporation or a smaller company or third-party company is that a big corporation will fire or let people go to increase their profits. And that's what Chevron is doing right now. They're going to be letting go of 20% of their worldwide employees. So that means around 6,000 to 8,000 people will be out of a job by the end of 2025. And on top of firing these 8,000 people, they're going to put all the work that these 8,000 people are doing onto somebody else and barely give them a raise or compensate them for the extra work they're going to have to be doing. Sometimes working for a smaller company, it's a lot better because you are able to grow with that company. You're able to put yourself out there for them, and you're not just a number. A big corporation is harder to move up the ladder, it's harder to become somebody in their company, and rarely a higher position will always be passed down to a family member or somebody they know real close. Regardless, it's very unfortunate of this situation. That's crazy to know that around 8,000 people are going to be fired worldwide from Chevron.
Anyone think now is time to panic and find another job before it's too late, or just hold on? It's always time to panic in oil and gas. Panic because I don't have a job, panic because I'm about to lose my job, panic because my coworkers have all lost their job and now I have to do their jobs in addition to mine, panic because prices are high and there aren't enough people to do the work.